Yeah. So, what we're going to talk about today is about writing versus podcasting, right? And yeah, you wanted to share actually and to share your experience. I also have some of my experience which I can share about podcasting, and I think it's great. So maybe, yeah, let's start.
Sure. So I'm Tara, and I studied media production, and I've always been very creative. And one of my favorite things is writing and stuff, but I have a more background in media production, right?
Oh,
Um, and podcasting is not actually new, it's talk radio. So
yeah.
for anyone
Yeah.
who remembers, War of the Worlds is not the Tom Cruise movie, but the Orson Welles talk radio show that everyone panicked. There's a
Yeah.
really interesting history behind it. Maybe I'll do a post about that.
Yeah.
But basically, as I started my career in documentaries and social media started really picking up, that started becoming big too. And text was really heavy in that. And
Sure.
then visuals, which was the photos, then videos. Um, uh, then podcasting became it. Podcasting meaning it's streamable. So whenever the person could listen to it, right?
Yeah.
And then in the last year or two, something called Substack kept coming up more and more between my clients because I'm a freelancer on should we be on Substack? We started a Substack.
Yeah.
Um, and I was looking more and more into it. And you have a little bit more control. There's always things like Patreon and things like that. But I felt like there was more freedom to kind of experiment. So I
Yeah.
wanted to try it out for myself. And I decided to start Safe Passages, which we can get a little bit more into what that means, and what I decided to kind of hone down on that for a podcast, though.
Yeah.
Majority of it will be clips and the podcast. A little less of written content, but the written content will be there. I just thought and as I was researching it, um, it's been interesting because with the pros who've been doing it for years, with you when I came for one-on-one coaching and stuff, you guys were all like, "Oh, that it is interesting because podcasting hasn't been really a format that's been too concentrated on Substack, but it probably will, and I think it will." So it's been interesting to kind of be the first kind of the newbies in it.
I
So
think so. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. But from your experience, well, I'm just curious now that you're talking. From your experience, what do you think? Is it a good format to monetize your content with?
I think so. I think so because it had a bit more simplicity, even in the terms and conditions. I know from other podcasters that I've worked with, when they wanted to monetize, one of the more famous ones is the Patreon
Yeah,
platform, but there are other ones. But you really want to look into the terms and conditions. They sometimes take more of a percentage or, certain things like that.
yeah, yeah,
And Substack right now has made it a little bit simplified and you have more control over it. Of you're like, you know what, I'm going to change the pricing. Editing actually took a lot longer than I thought it would. So I'm going to change pricing. And if that means
yeah,
less subscribers, that's okay. It's the quality, not quantity,
yeah,
kind of thing. So it's been an interesting learning curve for me. Uh, and then I can bring it to other potential podcasters who have also been like keep the other platforms, but they're incorporating
yeah.
Substack into it.
Yeah, exactly. I also love. So I don't really have much experience with podcasting on other platforms. I discovered podcasting here on Substack, but I love the option to of this dynamic paywalling where you can actually decide what part of the audio or video to paywall, and then you can also add additional materials in the episode, like below the episode, and then also decide whether to paywall or not. So you could add actually some tangible stuff around it. And it's really a great format with a lot of features that we can use as creators, and it gives us a lot of freedom as well.
Yeah, I found that one was so nice and simplified so for me, Safe Passages, the full episode will be for paid subscribers.
Yeah,
And but I wanted it to be very easy, and it's a video.
yeah,
And so to be available anywhere that they listen to. So
yeah,
for instance, I like to listen to my podcast on Spotify. Um, but it would be annoying for any potential listener to be like, I have to download Substack. No, I'm not doing that. Right?
yeah,
No,
yeah,
Substack is like, don't worry about that. If they're a subscriber and if they're a paid subscriber, they can still get your full episode on their Spotify. And Spotify now allows video too.
yeah,
Um, YouTube, it's on YouTube. Then the shorter clips,
yeah,
um, those are also available on, again, any of the listening platforms
yeah,
from
yeah,
Spotify, Apple, and YouTube too.
yeah,
And it's all I have to do is put it into my Substack new post and just make sure that I'm like, yep, it's going to be YouTube short.
yeah,
And yep, please add it to all of the platforms, the podcasting platform. And I love that because it's not as simplified in other places, which
it is.
has been a great asset.
Yeah, yeah. But do you know how does it work? Does so the person has to be with the same email on the other platforms as the one email that they are subscribed as a paid subscriber to you, so that they can unlock the paid episode? Or
That one, I am not 100% sure.
me too. I didn't go very much into details about
But
it.
usually, I
Yeah,
think it would be or something they have to have something very similar. Either yeah, my guess would be yes.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, I think
Has
so.
to be
I
in some capacity so that, for
it
instance, if
should be.
mine is Safe Passages email for my
Yeah,
Substack, but then I'm also subscribed to YouTube as Tara Jabari, or sorry,
yeah,
like Spotify, how would they know?
yeah.
Yeah. Or there might be a way where they're like, "Don't worry about it. We know there's a linkage way, but you
Okay.
have to do a double thing." I that one I'm not entirely sure. You know what? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
um,
yeah, it's just something, yeah, to worry about. We are still discovering Substack and its
yeah.
features. Actually, it's really been amazing because I sometimes I get questions from people whether it could be your newsletter could be actually created all of the, or in its entirety only from podcast episodes, and I think yes, for sure,
I think so.
definitely,
Yeah. That was what I was originally going to try and do, and so far it's like a monthly full episode, and then
yeah,
each week would be a minute or so clip.
yeah, yeah,
And then if I had the time or if something came up, I
yeah,
would write something,
yeah,
because I have other things in my life.
yes,
Um, but ideally, yeah, that you would be able to do and also what I also liked about Safe Passages, I keep seeing Safe Passages and not Substack anymore, so now I'm
yeah,
but Substack, you have an ability to be like, it's under Tara Jabari's Substack. You have Safe
yeah,
Passage. Then it could be Unplugged Podcast
yeah.
with Yana, like, and then it could be like another
True.
podcast or
Yeah.
another one, kind of thing. So that's kind of nice. So you could have like 5 different profiles on
Yeah.
Substack. So 5 podcasts, and one could be so Safe Passages is about travel and digital wellness or educating yourself about how to be safe online, especially when
Yeah.
you travel, by experts. Uh,
Yeah.
that's Safe Passages. But let's say
Yeah.
I want to do something about um, how to be a writer
Yeah.
in um, fiction
Yeah.
writing,
For example. Yeah.
for example. So then I'd be like, writing for fiction podcast. that could
Yeah.
I could start a new one, and it still is under the Tara Jabari Substack.
Yeah. Yeah. Substack.
That's so
Yes.
nice
Yes.
versus now I was like, "Great, now I have to make another username." Then it's, no, it's all
Oh, no, you
under one
don't
roof.
have to. Yeah. Yeah, I also love that. And did you know, I also discovered that you could actually create a section, and then this section can have a dedicated podcast for it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did see that and also, like, your little tabs, exactly,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like, "Do you want it to just be for a podcast?" And then
Yeah.
everything else, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, it is just a podcast," but yeah, I get what you mean. So it's been it is interesting, and every time I have been especially when I was beginning, people were like, "Oh, yours is just really gonna be like 90% is a podcast. Oh, this is
Yeah.
interesting. Good luck with that. I'm interested. Keep me
Yeah.
posted." So
Yes.
it's been fun, and because, video is so popular, and also people are like, "Have you been doing live?" No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But I notice more and more Substackers are doing live, which I
Yes.
was like, this now reminds me of the talk radio,
Yeah.
the traditional podcast,
Yeah.
which is you're gonna schedule it or you're off the cuff gonna just come on live.
Yes.
Um, and people will either join or not, and then, but it's, not under our schedule as the audience, it's or the listeners, it's under your
Yeah.
schedule. It's kind of interesting, and I'd be like they're like, "Experiment with that, see how that works." Ew.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
it's a good point, so
Yeah. Yeah, I also love this feature. Also, you could go live actually at any time and then publish this episode, this live
yep.
episode as part of your podcast as well. It's really amazing feature. We have so many features integrated into one working on Substack, and it's amazing. Um and yes, and also what I notice is that I think especially if you are not just writing, but if you are aiming to monetize your newsletter or your Substack, shall I say Substack? Because when we talk about podcast, it's not quite our newsletter, at least not in written format. So you can when you try to monetize with different services that are also including like individual working with people, like one-on-one coaching or personalized kind of services, then any type of format that you could create which involves your voice and also your face, so that people can actually hear you talking the real you and not some kind of robot, and also see you, your face and also your expression, your how you move, and your
Yeah.
body language. And this really helps because people connect with people, and if you aim to monetize with such services, so people have to have trust in you. And these types of format, I think, are building the highest level of trust. It's like, so the text actually is the lowest low of the levels of trust that you could use, because that's why you have to produce so much more, because very few, I think it was 12% of the people predominantly perceive information and learn through reading.
Mm.
um, Also, very few people are consuming and learning through hearing, and almost 60, if it wasn't maybe 65% of people are consuming and learning through visuals. So people have to see you.
Yeah.
It-
And
yeah, to trust you.
to your point, that's why one of the reasons why I loved podcasting the most out of all the other things that I have been working in, which was a lot of more short form, which again, I consider social media a form of storytelling now, especially.
Yeah.
But I'm a millennial. So we were like the guinea pigs. They were like, first job out, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm working in a studio or I'm at this place and I'm gonna be the next Martin Scorsese." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Figure out this thing called Twitter and Instagram. I don't know what the hell this is." And you're like, "President just got of the studio got like a coffee at Starbucks. Oh crap, we forgot to put at Starbucks to tag them." Like we were figuring it all
Yeah.
out. We didn't know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
counted and stuff. But now we know you can actually do something with it. But podcasting allowed more of a long form where an hour, sometimes 2 hours, where
Yeah.
they're listening. And yes, it's not as long retainership, but you're spending a bit more time. And during the pandemic, people were
Yeah.
really worried in podcasting because we're like, oh no. Most people were listening on their way to work or on their way back from work, right? To home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it actually grew because you couldn't go and meet people. You couldn't hang
Yeah.
out with people. So they were like, I'm bored. I'm by myself. I'm isolated with just possibly, your significant other or your family members. You couldn't go anywhere else. Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they're like, who else am I able to talk to? So I'm going to listen into this conversation where Yana and Tara are going to talk for like 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
And then they got to really know these people. And it sort of then you get to that connection. And I was like,
Yeah.
you get to hear the authenticity. Because if you're like,
Yeah.
what Safe Passage is about, and I give you the spiel, digital wellness and travel tips by experts, you're like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But then we can get really into like, but how did you get into this? And then you hear it in my voice if you hear the passion that I have or the
Yeah.
people that I met or why I can't stand Rome, Italy. No offense if Romans are there, but just terrible experience. All that stuff. But or why I loved going to Antarctica.
Yeah.
And I cannot express how much I recommend it. And yet there's always these ideas like, should we be going there and all that stuff. So all sorts of stuff. Exactly. It's the connection. And so these things, either it's the live or if it's a video podcast, and then because there's also the transcripts or the subtitles. One thing that I'm trying to still figure out with my Substack is so I record on Riverside. I love Riverside.
Yes.
I have affiliate link. Please read it. I love it. It's my favorite. I've used many other ways to record, but we have our transcript and then I do subtitles.
Yeah.
Because again, people will sometimes be watching on a subway or at work and they're not supposed to be, so they mute it and then they want to read it, or they just can't, they don't
Yeah.
understand the accent or something. Um, so I will make sure that all the spelling is correct as best I can and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then all that. So then I go and I import it into Substack. But Substack also, if you like record it off your iPhone and you put it in there, it also has its own subtitles. And then you,
Yeah.
of course, double, triple check the
Yeah.
subtitles or the transcript. And then I was like, oh, I don't need that because I already did it because it'll just
Yeah.
go over the subtitles that I just did.
Yeah.
um, and so that was the only thing. And so then when I say no, I already have it from Riverside and I've downloaded it and all that stuff. I was like, oh, but then do you know to let them know that they do have subtitles in there? That's the only thing that I'm a little bit nervous about. But it is important because you are now friendly to everybody. There's all sorts of people who they're like, well, I have to hear a person. I have to see a person. I have to read it.
Yeah.
I can't, all of that stuff. The different ways people like to learn are kinesthetic learners or
Yes.
all that stuff. And the technology has allowed for any of these people to learn or to connect to people differently. And that's been great. And as a creator, you have all these different ways to be able to connect to as many people as you can.
Yes. Yes, yes. I think that actually the creator economy is shifting towards more of the audio format, and we are gonna see. I'm sure that we're gonna see very soon audio courses if we don't have already some of them, because of them, because people are now so very often in the move and
Yeah.
listening is much more convenient than watching a video. So I think video is going to transform towards audio as well, and also because of the personal connection, I think social media is going to move towards exactly personal connection and more closed groups, and And also what we have on Substack, like the paywall, the paid community type of format. That's something that is happening already. It's not only on Substack, but most of the content creation businesses and media businesses as well are already there. So
Yeah.
the creator economy is gonna follow. That's what I think because of that. So we are just starting in the very beginning, and it's so amazing, and it's always great to be to start in that phase, because you always have huge growth opportunities actually.
Yeah. And I like your comment about like it sort of people can sort of share more, especially in social media or something like that, whether it's a paid thing or not. One thing I remember is like, for instance, going back to my example of like, oh, we went and we got Starbucks at Starbucks. Um, but one of us is vegan. And then somebody's like, oh, God, vegan.
Yeah.
But you have an opportunity to say, why are you a vegan? And they're like, well, we found out I have, and this is a true story. I learned this. This is not me, I'm saying. But I had a friend who he is of Nepali descent, and they have a lot of heart problems in his family. And
Yeah.
they said sometimes a lot of animal products, even milk, even butter, that kind of stuff, it could be harmful to your heart, and you're only in your 20s. So let's try a vegan diet, no animal products, and see how that works. And it worked. It helped his heart get stronger without the use of medication. And so that's why he's like, all right, well, then I'm going to have to be vegan.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm like, like animals are our friends. And you're like, well, we didn't kill a cow to eat the milk and drink the milk. uh, or if you are like that, fine, that's fine too. But it
Yeah.
allows people to be like, oh, I'm judging you.
Yeah.
A lot of people have that aspect. Don't get me
They
wrong. Lots of people who can be like, you voted for this person, I don't like you, or you're this person, or that but there is also an opportunity to get to know the other side. Why
Yeah.
is this person doing that, or this and that? And just to see the window to another person's life. And I like that aspect too.
Yes, me too. Me too. It's actually you have to evolve in order to be able to have that kind of behavior, because our default human nature is always, I think, tending to judge other people, because everything that I am and I believe this is the truth, and everything else which is different and new, it's not it's not good or not true, or
And
I'm right and they are wrong, and so on.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of this type of, I call it a primitive type of thinking, which um, actually actually, in fact, you could learn so many things from each and every person
mm,
only if you're open to it. Other than that, you're just staying in your own. You're not growing. That's that's
yeah. And I recently went to a talk about AI because it was Tech Week in Chicago where I
yeah,
was at the time. And these gentlemen actually talked about, I think it's called the Human Project.net. It's on my Substack. Don't worry. Check it out. It's a blog post because it was a recap of it. And they were saying, yes, AI, they're experts in their field of using technology, particularly artificial intelligence. And they said, remember, it's a tool, it's not a replacement.
yeah,
And the two gentlemen that were particularly heading this panel were African American.
yeah,
And they were saying, yeah, it can be scary, but if you educate yourself and if
yeah,
you learn from other places, so I think it's called the Human Project, but you said it was a German-based website where
mm,
you've never left your town, let alone country, and
yeah,
everyone looks the same as you, but you always wanted to know what do people think about, let's say, about Chicago, in Poland or in the Philippines.
Yeah.
they can go onto the we'll double check the name actually, because I realized my laptop's right here. Um, and check this website and ask,
Yeah.
or find out, like, what were you taught about um, World War II? Something like that, to hear from a different person's perspective, because you've only heard it from your perspective and everyone that looks like you or was raised like you. And he's like, and that is the power of the internet. And
Yeah.
then AI can help you match where you're like, I am from Chicago, born and raised, and I want to meet somebody who is exactly opposite of that, but about certain things like, do they believe in the moon landing, or do they think that it was a setup by the president and Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah.
You know, we're like, I don't know. What were they just as invested with um, Russia versus US and their
Yeah.
the Philippines? I don't know. So it will allow that. And he's like, and that is his potential. And we're like, that is a lovely way of seeing how the internet could bring us together. And
Yeah.
so that was a really fun aspect that I had not heard about. And I was like, I got to look into this. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I will find that. Oh, it's the Human Library. I found it.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
The human library. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna check it out for sure. I'm gonna check it out.
humanlibrary.org, and my blog post that's a couple weeks old from July 26th, using AI ethically, wisely, and more from experts in tech. That's the blog post that talks
Yeah.
more the pros and the cons. There were some
Yeah.
cons, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But I can talk about AI. I don't know, maybe 24
Uh,
hours um, per day, and then continue beyond that, just simply because it's always whenever somebody tells me that. And I just got an email, I think today, from someone telling me exactly the same thing, that AI is not authentic. I want to use my own brain and think with my own head and have my own thoughts, and also and use my words and my ideas and my thinking and so on and so on. And that's actually uh, a person who never touched AI can say something like that, because actually AI can help you expand. And that's what I answered basically. AI can help you expand your thinking and shift it to the levels of for which basically no human would be able to do so without AI alone. I mean, it's
mhm.
just simply possible, but only if you know how to use it. And if you never open it, if you never touch it, just because you're scared, because that's basically fear, then you never learn, and you fall behind. And
Yeah.
and the history repeats itself, and also the business history repeats itself, and everyone who is afraid of technology is just simply falls behind. And
Mhm.
in business, that is called, you're going out of business. Simply, that's what's
Yeah.
happening. Your business is dying, and we have so many examples, so many examples. Also in the smartphone industry, just simply because some of the brands decided to refuse to accept the smartphone
Mhm.
wave of technology, they just simply dropped off the market. And that's what happens. That's also what's happening right now with AI, and it's not right now. It's just a tool, but the next phase is actually when it comes to when it enters the physical world.
Mhm.
You remember, do you remember there was a very popular post that went actually viral when one writer wrote, I don't want AI to write and create instead of me. I wanted to wash my dishes so that I can write and create by myself.
I do
And
remember.
that yeah, that's actually happening. That's gonna happen right now. It's coming. So
Yeah.
um and it's and then it's gonna shift to a whole new level actually.
I agree with you. Two things about that. When you were telling me we were scheduling this, and you said, "What do you
Yeah.
want the title for this to be?" And I was like, I'm like busy getting ready for something, and I was like, I don't not usually good with titles, and I
Yeah.
usually use, and I'll be transparent because this is one of the things that we need to work on, is being more transparent about the usage of AI and stuff. I was like, I usually go to AI for ideas
Exactly.
guidance on titles for keywords, and I'm like, wait, I'm relying too much on this. You've used it enough to kind of get an idea of what possibly are the key points that you think would be a good topic and might
Yeah.
draw people. So the title, first time Substack or long time podcaster, was just me. I was like, it could be long. I'll check with her, but that's just me because I was thinking those are the two big things. It's about Substack and it's about podcasting. And I have a pro on one idea and I'm a newbie on another. So maybe other people could relate to those.
Yeah.
So recognize when you're it's the same thing. I would teach this in workshops
Yeah.
about addiction to our technology. Like my math is terrible. My memory with maps and directions is terrible because we rely too much on our technology. That's
Yeah.
not good.
It's not.
Uh, but it is still a tool. And then in when there was a writer's strike with the Writers Guild of America, a friend of mine is a writer and she was very nervous. So she actually paid AI to write, and she's mostly a ghostwriter for novels. And she's like, it wrote a full page, like a 70,000 word book in like 24 hours. No human can do that.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And I thought, Erica, though, it's going to be eventually different because if AI might give us the synopsis or the basic blueprint
Yeah.
of it, but when it comes down to, okay, these three writers, Erica, you're in your 50s and you're a Black woman and you're a single mother. Tara, you're in your 30s, you're an Iranian first generation American. Yana, where are you? If you're, you're not American, all sorts of, but the whole basis is like, talk about if Superman moved to Mars,
Yeah.
our stories will not be the same.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the human element that AI cannot replicate. But and that's the comforting thing. Uh, it's just making sure that we don't get lazy and be
Yeah.
like, make AI write it, so I'll just do the dishes kind of thing. And if you do end up doing that, that's on you.
Yeah, yeah, we never know. It's just because we have different point of views right now, which are very limited from the perspective that we have. When you look at the pencil and then you see is it a line or is it a circle? That's
Yeah.
it's kind of the same reason. But actually, when AI comes to physical world, then yeah, it's gonna be connected to one huge, I don't know, master brain type
Yeah.
of thing. But I think we also humans can evolve and get that to that level, and that's where the scary part comes. Having your brain connected to the brains of each and every human out there, and also to the internet. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also interesting. And so if you think about, I mean, theoretically, if you think about it, then you will be able to see each and every person's point of view of the very same event.
Mhm.
And that's really, that's going to make us even more human and understanding and not so much judgmental as the way that we are right now.
I agree. It's an adjustment period. So anything new is always scary.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. But if you think about it, we are already so AI is designed by humans
Mhm.
based on the part of human thinking, anyways. And if you think about it, we are already connected in a way. Like I don't know, because I'm so much interested and dig into the intuition and those type of things. So technically, it's already feasible and possible, and now we are just not so much aware. We are not using it. We are not trained to use it very well. But that's it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Now the next level of computing is the quantum computing, and and then it becomes scary. So there we are talking about computers that are working and operating in parallel universes. What the fuck? What does it mean even?
Yeah.
so technology is really, the pace that it's evolving is kind of scary. So it's normal people to react like that and to think about AI in such a way, but actually if you embrace it, then the opportunities become limitless, and
Yeah.
that's exciting, at least for someone like me. That's really exciting.
I kind of am there, but also a little bit more cautious, or I'm also like, don't forget your own, you got to do it too, kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
That-
optimistically cautious, I would say.
yes, yes, yeah. We are from techno, because you also have this background of technology and digital, security and
Yeah.
safety as well. So, what do you think? Does it open even new and larger threats to society?
AI or, um,
Yeah,
I think it really comes down to the individual and their community. Um, I always equate any of these technology advancements to thinking of like the car. When the
yeah,
car first started, um, we got home faster, we got to work faster, but also because the law is always behind advancements, um, people got into car accidents. We didn't have seatbelts. We didn't have street signs or
yeah,
lamps or whatever you call it, red light, green light, yellow light, stop
yeah,
sign, all that stuff. Then they were like, "Oh, if you drink alcohol and you drive, it distorts it." You're just
yeah,
but they didn't use a law really. Then texting and driving. Then, so every time you have to be your own police and law where
mm,
you're I have to put my own seatbelt. So AI, for instance, it could help advance, but I was like, "Oh, I need to think of a title. I should get on AI like ChatGPT, or I like Claude AI, for instance." Why? You know how to make a word, you know how to form sentences, sort of, not right now. Um, but it was sort of like putting the seatbelt on, right? I'd be like, "No, you don't need to. You've used it enough to kinda get a sense, and you've
yeah,
have used it enough on your own titles to see what kind of has drawn people.
yeah,
So try it out for yourself. Meanwhile, for something that you're not quite sure, yeah, you
yeah,
can use it for the future." So that's where I kind of think it is, again, a tool, and it will only get smarter as humans keep using it and how we use it. So you're creating your own Frankenstein, and Frankenstein didn't mean to kill the kid, and yet Frankenstein isn't the monster, right? It's the humans that created him, made him into the monster, right? That's the sad element of that,
yeah,
about that story. So I think that's the cautionary thing. You have to really be more cautious of, why am I using this, or why am I so nervous about it, or why do I feel so helpless? You don't have to feel that way. And if you do, where can I go? So one of my questions was, what resources, to this AI talk, was like, what resources do you guys recommend to keep us ourselves educated and up to date? So the
yeah,
next thing where they're like, AI can do this and that for you, and you're like, whoa, I don't have to do anything anymore. But then who owns that? Or, all sorts of stuff. Like, I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. And they're like, oh, well, there's this podcast, or, there's this newsletter or something like that, because they're the experts right now. So
yeah.
that's my thought.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. It's not so much about the technology, but it's the human who uses it, and how do we use it? It's absolutely true. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, all right. It was, was
Thank
such a nice conversation. So see where we go. So we started with podcasting and now we are
I
with
never
AI. Yeah. You never know. You never know. Well, yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, mostly I'm still working on experimenting with my Substack. So if anyone wants to check it out, it's Safe Passages. And I'm actually using your Substack Quest, and I'm
Yeah.
on product strategies thing because and you've been adding more to it. So every time I was like, I'm almost done. Oh, damn, she's caught up. But it's been really interesting and talking to other people who are also working on their Substack, learning from each other and different courses we've checked out. It's been really, I've learned so much and like thinking about it differently than it feels overwhelming, but then you break it down. You're like, all right, yeah, I just have to do these steps. It's going to
Yes.
take longer, but
Yes.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for the opportunity.
Of course, there are no, yeah. So for guys who all of you who are watching, just make sure that you subscribe to Tara's newsletter. It's an amazing newsletter about technology and travel, the intersection of it. It's really amazing, and all about also podcasting. But yeah, thank you so much, Tara. It's that's my goal to make people think differently because that's what makes us unique,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for this live. It was an amazing. I hope people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Um, Thank
I
you so
certainly did. Thank you for your patience as we let me experiment with live. This was my first live. It will
It
not
was
be.
an amazing. So yeah, congratulations.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye bye. Bye.